Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Medium today with another weekly check-in for the collective. Now, I just started doing this previous week, but I really have been enjoying this in like my own personal practice, as I feel like sometimes it's nice to kind of redirect the energy that maybe I really need to be focused on, especially since there's been so many different things that have been going on that can easily kind of detract from, how can I put it? Like what is the most pertinent, what I need to be kind of investing a lot of my personal energy into. So I really hope that you guys kind of enjoy this little bit of a weekly check-in to kind of help you see what to expect for this upcoming week. So here you go. Let's see what we have. So today I wanted to use the Astara Tarot. And I know we just had Letha, which is fine, but I just felt very called to use this. And maybe I should use the Letha Oracle as like a little, kind of giving us a little bit of extra. So maybe I'll grab that in a minute and see what's up. Even though I did grab the Resurrection Oracle just to kind of see. I felt like that one wanted to speak to me today. So let's see. I want you guys to kind of focus on what you feel like you need to hear and being receptive to the messages that come through and things that we need to focus on this week. All right. Let's see what we have. All right. So the very first card I like to pull is going to be, I feel like I want to do it a little bit more. Oh. We're not going to use these, even though it's funny because I think that's 4 cards. Should we use these? I think we're just going to use these instead of me choosing some cards. So, all right. So I feel like out of these, we'll just kind of go like this and kind of see what we have. All right. So what we need to know, the Page of Wands, I believe. I always forget. I think the Wands, I'm pretty sure this is the Page of Wands. All right. And what we need to do is the Magician. And then we have to release, we need to have the 8 of Cups. And to contemplate, we have the 2 of Pentacles. All right, so now that we've pulled our cards, and I've just confirmed that this is actually not the Page of Wands, but the Page of Cups, we can kind of get into what each of these cards means and collectively what to kind of expect this week. So with the to know card, we have the Page of Wands, or I keep saying Wands. I don't know why I keep saying Wands. So the Page of Cups is essentially a card of really kind of like going out into the world, being a little bit, maybe feeling a sense of not really knowing everything that maybe will be happening or how things will be going. Maybe there's a little bit of this kind of fear about getting things wrong or not doing the right thing. When I think of the pages, I almost feel like there's this kind of naive, immature, kind of like inexperienced sort of energy that tends to come through. Now, cups are all about the emotions and connections and relationships and intuition and our feelings. But I feel like there's this kind of positive expectancy that comes from the page that says, hey, I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to use my creativity and my imagination, and I'm going to allow that to be something that grows. So there may be something this week that is maybe calling you to kind of connect a little bit more to that energy, to be a little bit more receptive, to be a little bit more open to the things and the lessons that are kind of coming up at the moment. So even if you feel like you don't have all of the information or everything isn't always making the most sense, I think the Page of Cups is kind of here as a reminder that even if you don't know everything, or even if everything is not quite as clear as you would like it to, this is an opportunity for you to start trusting your intuition a little bit more, to connect a little bit more to what feels right for you, and allowing that to be the thing that motivates you through this upcoming week and allows you to really see that what, like how we show up, whether it's in gratitude, whether it's, you know, being very like receptive to the lessons that are kind of coming up, that is something that really affects not just our perspective, but also the things that we experience and how we experience them. So I think with the Page of Cups here, it's saying for you to know is that how you are showing up, whether it's kind of in this like, oh, look, I may not always be a part of whatever's going on, but I can find a way to show up in it anyways. So I think that's maybe the biggest lesson here is that it's saying, hey, you need to be very open to looking at how you can be a little bit more creative, how you can show up in the things that are kind of happening around you and not doubt yourself so much. So if we move on to what we need to do, we have the Magician. Now, the Magician to me is always a card of spiritual awareness. It's about manifestation. It's about really understanding that we have all of the tools at our disposal that are needed and necessary within us. And I think the biggest thing with the Magician is that there is this like really alchemizing everything that's kind of going on around us at this current moment to create what it is that we want out of the circumstances or the situation that we're currently in. So with this being the to do, maybe this is your opportunity to look at, you know, what are you manifesting? What are you spiritually aware of? What tools are you using at this current moment in order to really propel yourself forward? Especially given that to know is the Page of Cups. It's almost saying like maybe there's this part of you that feels, oh, well, I don't really know everything, or I don't feel very experienced in what I'm doing. And the Magician is kind of telling you like, just because you may not know exactly what is happening in this particular situation or in these circumstances does not mean that you haven't gained information or knowledge or experience in a different facet that can also be applied to this situation. So I think with to do, it's almost saying like, hey, you need to look within instead of feeling like there's something that's lacking or instead of feeling like there's something more that you should be doing. So I feel like there's a big thing here where it's almost asking you to look at all of the experiences that you've had and looking at all of the not just the experience, but also all of the things that you've gone through previously that maybe are able to inform you as you kind of move through certain aspects or things at this current moment. And I love to kind of focus on a good magician really understands what they're trying to do before they actually do the magic. So I think the big thing with this is that it really is saying maybe this is an opportunity for you to have a really good plan, to really focus on what is it that you need, what is it that you're trying to kind of bring to fruition, how are you bringing this to fruition, how is this showing up for you, and what is it that maybe you need to kind of focus on in order for you to get where you're trying to get, and in order for you to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, because this is the to-do card. So it's interesting, you know, kind of giving a lot more of like this kind of energy of being a little bit more aware of our intentions and our energy and how we're showing up in different ways. So moving on to card number 3, this is what we need to release. Now here we have the 8 of Cups. Now, to me, the 8 of Cups is such a card of like emotional release. It is emotionally withdrawing. It is a card of like just really moving on. And I think with this release card being very much a card that's like saying, hey, we got to move on. We got to let some stuff go. I think that maybe there's something that we've been holding on to or feeling like I'm not quite done with it yet, or I still have a lot of emotions kind of tied to what's happening here. So I think with this card specifically, with this being the release card, it's almost saying like, hey, even if emotionally you don't feel like ready to let something go, it's still time for you to move on. Because how we feel is never going to be something that can be very like, it's not something that we can always describe. It's not always something that we can pin down. It's not always something that we know how it's going to show up. Sometimes we'll have feelings way after the fact, you know, of anything that we've experienced, even like with previous relationships or previous connections. where we may think, oh, I'm over it, I've moved on, my life is completely different. But there may be something that, you know, is upsetting within that situation, or something that is like triggering within that scope that maybe brings you back to the emotions that you were feeling at that time. And I think with this card, it's almost saying like it's time. It's time to just kind of move forward. Don't feel like you have to be emotionally withdrawn from something in order for you to feel like you can let it go. And I think for a lot of us is like the big thing I feel, especially just from the sort of work that I've done, and just life experience, is that a lot of us feel like we have to be emotionally done with something before we choose to kind of move forward. A lot of us have like this, I don't even want to say like a sense of responsibility, but it's something similar to that, or maybe a sense of like we owe like this emotional vulnerability to everything that we do. And I think with the Eight of Cups here, where it's telling you need to release that, is that we don't always have to wait for something to get awful or feel wrong or feel uncomfortable for us to finally say, okay, I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to do something different. And I think a lot of us do have this like sense of like, well, that's what I should be doing. Or, you know, I can't just, you know, feel like I can do something different until I'm emotionally done with this other thing. And I think with the Eight of Cups here, it is really saying that you need to kind of let go of certain things that you've been hanging on to. It's time for you to just choose to walk away and really truly release yourself from maybe that expectation of like, I'll just keep waiting, or maybe something will change, or maybe I have to wait till I'm emotionally ready to move on from something. Maybe there's just something here that we know we should have moved on from, but we just haven't. Now, finally, for us to contemplate, we have the Two of Pentacles, which this is essentially a card that is just kind of saying we need to find that balance. We need to find that harmony. Maybe we've been juggling too many different things that don't really feed us. And I think with the two, it's very much a reminder that we have the choice. And for us to contemplate on this is that maybe we feel like we've been trying to figure out how something's going to work, what we're going to do, how we're going to kind of find that balance between the two different aspects of ourselves, or two different things that maybe, two different opportunities that maybe we're trying to kind of look at. And I think the big thing with this is that when I think of the Two of Pentacles, as much as like this card kind of shows him a little bit like he's juggling a little bit, I think it's also a reminder that we get to choose what we want. We get to say what brings us harmony. We get to say what the balance is for us. And I think a lot of us think that everything has to always be very like even, like a scale. And that's not how life is. You know, sometimes we're going to focus a little bit more on one aspect of our lives than others. Sometimes, you know, life kind of puts us in a position where we have to pour a lot of ourselves into one area of our lives. And I think for many people, especially with like finances, work, career, their physical space, or even their physical body, maybe they feel this like sense of responsibility of like, I have to do all of these things to like feel stable and feel good, but maybe it's hard because there isn't that much harmony at the current moment. So maybe right now, with this being like this card of like, this is what we need to contemplate, is that we need to focus on how can we bring things back into balance. Maybe balance is, oh, I'm going to do this one thing for myself 2 times a week. Maybe balance is I have to go to work every day that I'm scheduled, you know, things like that, where we have to kind of look at the choices that we're making. We need to find that harmony in all of that to maybe feel a little bit more grounded and rooted in what we want and what we're trying to do. So I think with the Two of Pentacles here, and given all of the cards, it just kind of seems like this is going to be a little bit more of a week of us like kind of focusing on the internal aspects within ourselves and being a little bit more aware of, you know, what we're doing, what we're investing in, you know, how we're putting our energy out into the world, and what we find is significant at this current time. But with the Magician here, like as our to-do card, I think that it's a really beautiful reminder that maybe it's time for us to really be very aware of what we're manifesting, what we're focusing on, how our magic is showing up in our lives, and what we need to do with that energy. So I'm just going to pull a card. I was going to go grab another deck, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling that right now. So we're just going to grab this one. So here we have just finding your niche. And maybe that's like, related to this 8 of Cups and also this 2 of Pentacles. I think finding your niche, and I know for like a lot of us, like it's almost like a trending word. I feel like a lot of people are like, find your niche, find like your blah, 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 blah. And I think with this, that it's maybe saying like finding what speaks to you, finding what works for you, finding what lights you up, finding how this energy is showing up for you and what it means to you to kind of have a little bit more of this energy in your own life. So I think maybe this week will be a call to kind of figure out, what do you really love about what you have going on? What is it that really speaks to you at this current moment? And how can you really allow that to be the thing that leads you into the next phase? So I hope that made sense. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you think of these little collective weekly check-ins. And if you have any questions, please let me know down below. As always, if you're looking for your own personalized reading, you can book through this site or through my website, and the links are in the description. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.